Hello there everyone. In this tutorial we're going to add video to Unity. We've been making a VR escape room, and at the end of it, after I escape out of here, I want to come through here and win and get a celebratory video with fireworks playing, just as a way to loop in one more feature of Unity, video playback. Unity can play back like an MP4 or whatever. It can do it on a screen like we're doing here. But it can also do it, like you can put 360 video on a skybox as a way of creating like a 360 video player in Unity. You could use it as a texture on an object that isn't screen shaped. You could play video on this tree if you wanted. So there are some cool things to do with video in Unity. Now, of course, it's going to have a render cost. It's going to have a load in terms of the playback. So multiple high-res videos in a VR project, it's going to be a lot, and it could definitely slow down what you're making. But I did want to show it as a possibility. So here's how it's done. I made an object, just a simple cube, and reshaped it and sized it to look like a movie screen. And then I'm going to right-click in the hierarchy and go to Video and choose Video Player. So that makes an object that sort of doesn't matter where it is, but I just like to reset my transform anyway as a way of keeping things organized. So I'm going to reset, and then I am just going to point out to you that all this really is an empty object with a video player component. So if we look at the video player component, it looks fairly familiar if you're used to audio sources. It takes a video clip. So I happen to have one here. This is a MP4 file that I threw in a video folder. I'm going to drag that over here. Then it's got some of the same options that audio has: play on awake, loop, playback speed, which could be cool. You could slow down or speed up video. I'm going to leave play on awake for now for testing purposes, but eventually we'll turn that off because we want it to only trigger when we've come out of the room and hit a collider, which we'll do in code. Then down here, this is sort of how the video playback is going to work, and we're going to use the render texture option. That's going to send the video to a texture, which we will then put on our object. Other options are things like the camera, near or far plane. That would play video right up on the sort of right in the eyes of the viewer, or on the skybox. So there are other choices here, but in my case, I'm going to use render texture. So our next step then is to make that render texture. So down just in the video folder, I'm going to right click and create render texture. And I'll call this fireworks render texture. So in the render texture options in the inspector, there is a size associated with this. And I put this as the resolution of the video, 1920 by 1080. I'm not certain if you can lower performance requirements by making the video texture smaller. If you could run it at half resolution or something, or for all I know, actually, that it might still take the same kind of load on your software or hardware, playback, just to resize the thing. Maybe you need to resize the video file itself. I'm honestly not sure. But I keep this at the video's original size. And then if we go back to the video player object, we want to make that render texture the target texture here. Finally, we would then put this render texture on the object. So in this case, movie screen. So let's hit play and see if it works. there it is. It's playing back over on the other side of my escape room there. Very cool. So one thing I want you to notice is, as default, it's we got a couple of things going on here, I guess. This looks like it's upside down to me. The fireworks are shooting from the top and then blowing up down here. But it's correct on the back. So this is a texture, and it's wrapping all the way around this this movie screen object. So I guess probably the easiest way around this is to 180 my movie screen object on the y-axis. So we got that. The other thing that I wanted to point out is, if you look at it kind of sideways, you notice this object is receiving light from the directional light, and it sort of looks more like a poster or a billboard. I mean, it moves when the game plays, but it's still not giving off light like a television screen or a projection screen would. And the reason for that is the shader setting that this material is. So here's what happens. The render texture becomes the target for the video, and then it kind of auto-generates a material. And as you can see, it made a folder. I didn't do this. This just happened. And we have a material inside that folder that has the render texture set as its albedo, which means the color of this material is the video itself, playing back all those frames. So the way we change this effect is, rather than make it a standard shader, I would pull this down and choose unlit instead, and then I'm going to go with texture. And now we get the effect that I kind of expect a video to have its shadows not receive light from the sun or whatever, and its light parts to appear that they are glowing, you know, with their own light. So this looks more like what I would expect video to look like in the real world. If you want it to have that other look, you know, no need to change the shader. And then I guess if you're working in the universal render pipeline, the shader would be named something slightly different. It would be inside the universal render pipeline's standard shader and then unlit.